Well, I'm going to show up here anyway, despite the early diagnosis looking horrible with the chat, other social media platforms. Nights like tonight make this extremely painful, but we will do this anyway. Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And the New Jersey Devils were in Anaheim tonight, looking to build off of the victory in LA last night. And it did not happen. The New Jersey Devils fall by a score of 4-1 in an extremely, extremely painful one that has many of you just dooming at nearly unprecedented levels. It was an ugly game, and we're going to get into all of it. But first, obviously, win or lose, we booze. And as someone pointed out, I forget who in the chat, tonight we are switching to the hard stuff. We are going with the Terramana tequila, the official tequila of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. As if this man needed any more business empires and any more money and success in his life. He found it. Terramana tequila. Cheers to all of you for coming out after such an ugly game. Wow. But yeah, I'm just going to do a quick little bottle shot of this and have a beer on the side. But cheers to all of you. We're doing the Terramana. Woo, when it hits your lips. I don't like loser drinks. And tonight these are loser drinks. And then we're obviously going with the Corona on the side. Not Cinco de Mayo with the tequila and the beer, but, cheers to all you guys. This game sucked. Brutal game. Brutal game indeed. And there's not much positivity here. Obviously, the goal was nice, but we get to the game here. We get to the goals. And that first one was brutal. Cholowski was in position to break it up. He was right there, but I think he was maybe scared to take the penalty. I don't know. It was just way too passive on attempting to break it up. He was in perfect position, or very good position at least, and Seneke beats Allen with that last-minute kind of repossession of the puck and popped it past him on like the semi-breakaway. Terrible stuff. 1-0. Devils, I thought, despite the shots not being excellent, the first few minutes of the game was pretty much all Devils. They were in the O-zone a lot. They were getting some shots. Granted, some of them were perimeter. Some of them were kind of low quality, but it just seemed like we were the better team by a good margin early on in the game. Then that little breakdown happens with the breakaway goal. Anaheim's up 1-0. And then later in the period at 14:24, more kind of sloppy play in front of the net. And despite Dougie diving and almost getting a piece of that puck sliding, Vetrano blasts it past Allen, 2-0. That's how the period ended. And at that point, I think everyone was like, wow, we probably are the better team, but like these slow starts are terrible. And this was another one. For all the doomers, again, I'm not trying to make excuses, but missing 5 NHL regulars is going to hurt any team. Pesce and Kovacevic on defense. If we had either one of those guys, I do believe the D looks way better with either one of them in the lineup. But with both of them out, again, you have Cholowski, who didn't play terrible tonight, but that first play was not great. And I think Cholowski has looked, calmer and more settled in back there than Casey was. But in the end, this is not an ideal NHL lineup for other teams or the Devils. And with Cholowski in there, we now have Lukehughes playing on his offside. Like these are not ideal conditions. And then up front, Connor Brown, who's been a monster for this team since he came here in the summer. Huge loss. Hopefully he comes back soon. That was a whole weird thing. We didn't even know he was injured. And then, next thing you know, he's missing practice. Then he missed the game. Now he's missed 2 games. Big loss to the Devils there. Dodonov, we don't really know what we're going to get out of him, but he was another guy that we had penciled in our, everyday lineup. Cody Glass, our 3C, he's injured. Gritz, and Brown looked like a phenomenal third line early on in the season before the injuries kind of forced everything to be shaken up. But it is what it is. Devils down 2-0 after 1. Gauthier gets one quickly into the second period to make it 3-0. And at that point, it probably, seems like it's going to be a long night for the New Jersey Devils and all of us. Still hoping with a lot of time left that they could mount a comeback. Not much else really going on for the Devils in that second period. They had some good chances. I feel like we did throw a lot of garbage shots at the net, but they had some decent ones. And for everyone saying that Dostal is some bad goalie, he's not a bad goalie at all. He has pretty good numbers on a team that is not always defensively responsible. I would say Dostal is definitely above average in my opinion. People may disagree, but he's definitely above average. And we did make him look like, prime Marty Brodeur or Hasek tonight at points, but it's not like he's this journeyman goalie that we made look like a superstar. I mean, he's a pretty damn good goalie, but Devils are having problems solving them. Down 2-0 after 2. We get to the third, and there was a play where Nico got rocked, and my man Dawson Mercer, the dog, comes in and immediately goes to the takedown. In those situations, I do wish we saw more of, gloves off and like real true fisticuffs. But it does seem like we're kind of in the WWF era of NHL, scuffles now. But the credit to the dog, he immediately comes over, wraps him up, scores the takedown. 2 points. He's on his back, gets the takedown. Devils kill off the penalty beautifully. Mercer comes out of the box and comes racing in with Jack and throws just beautifully just executed filthy saucer pass over the defender to Jack Hughes, who hammers it home for Jack's 10th of the season, assisted by Dawson Mercer and Timo Meier, cuts the lead to 3-1. And then the Devils came alive. For the first few minutes after that goal, it was like the switch flipped. The boys were buzzing, creating chances. Dostal making a bunch of good saves. It was just like a brand new team. It's like, where the hell was this team for the first, 50 minutes or so of the game? We have that little confrontation. Again, Mercer with a beautiful takedown, comes out of the box, great goal, and now the boys are jacked, and now they're flying. Where was that team for the first 50 minutes? Your guess is as good as mine, but they were buzzing, generating chances. Dostal made a bunch of good saves. They weathered the storm, and then eventually, obviously, with the goalie Jake Allen on the bench, former New York Ranger Chris Kreider puts it into the empty net to seal the game up at 4-1, and this loss really sucked. Not much positive to take out of this one. Another slow start for the Devils. We know that this team has been historically sort of flat in first periods. I have no idea why. Obviously want to get on the board first, play with a lead instead of chasing. And when we have to chase, it sucks. And it happened again tonight off of that first goal. It just seemed like the Ducks kind of stole the momentum with that play. The breakaway goal in the beginning. And it was just, a game where the Devils were constantly trying to come from behind. They did not look good at all for the first, 50 or so minutes until that goal. In the post-game, interview, Sheldon Keefe said that the Dawson Mercer response to the hit on Nico was the highlight of the game for him. I thought that was very interesting. That was his highlight of the game. Game stats, Devils 33 shots on goal, the Ducks with 30. Faceoffs right down the middle, 50-50. 24-48 for each team. Devils go 0-for-1 on the power play. Ducks go 0-for-2 on the power play. Devils with 15 hits. Ducks with 18 hits. Devils 18 block shots. Ducks 19 block shots. Devils 13 giveaways. The Ducks with 20 giveaways. Devils with 4 takeaways. And the Ducks with 6 takeaways. That is your tail of the tape there. Game stats, pretty even in almost every category. I mean, shots on goal only a few apart. Faceoffs split down the middle. Hits only differential by 3. Ducks with 1 more block shot than the Devils. Ducks did give it away 7 more times, and the takeaways are pretty close. I mean, that is a pretty close kind of stats there. Then we look at the players. Is there anything even worth mentioning here? Probably not. Timo with 3 hits. 7 shots for Timo. I mean, he was all over the place. A couple of good saves by Dostal. There was a couple late in the game where he was in front of the net. There was one that he almost kind of redirected in. I think he just sent it wide or missed, whatever it was. It was a very good chance late in the game when they were trying to make it 3-2. Jesper Bratt, 2 shots and a hit. Grits with 4 shots. Dilly, what an animal. Dilly with 2 shots, 5 blocks and a hit. And shout out to Dilly. I think it was either the first or second period. Dilly had an amazing shift where he kept the puck in the zone a few times on difficult plays, made a couple nice head fakes and stick handling to kind of buy time and space and back defenders off before he dumped it down low to somebody. There was several little plays that he made on this one shift, and I was like, look at my man Dilly. What a shift for Dilly. You guys know I love Dilly, but 2 shots, 5 blocks, and a hit for Dilly, leading the D-corps per usual in those types of things. Dougie with 3 shots, a hit. Nemitz a shot, a block, a hit. Cholowski with 4 blocks. Like to see that from him. Siegs with 2 hits. Jake Allen, 3 goals allowed on 29 shots against, 26 saves. Not a great game for Jake Allen either. I am not going to blame the loss on him, obviously. Not a great game from Allen, but the team was flat for the majority of the game. Allen had a little bit of an off night, and when all of those things happen on the same night, it's often going to result in a fat lahoo And the Devils were the losers tonight. Brutal schedule, obviously, as we all know. Coming out from the season, and then intense schedule on the West Coast road trip where they have historically struggled, and it's just a lot with all the injuries. And again, I'm not trying to make excuses, but you just have to realize that this team is not going to look like the team when they're at full strength. I mean, it's just ridiculous to think that 5 NHL regulars out of the lineup, like they just got to kind of tread water for now. We need Pesce back badly. Obviously, Glass and Brown coming back whenever that is will be an absolute blessing, but they need to figure it out in the meantime, and it's going to be pretty brutal. And we look at I got to take care of something. We look at the deserve to win meter. I do think these things are very interesting. We look at the deserve to win-o-meter, and after the 1,000 simulations, taking all of the game particulars into consideration, no surprise here, the Devils did not deserve to win this game. And after 1,000 game simulations, they would win 39.3% of the time, according to this kind of analytical model calculator. 39.3%. And it's crazy. Last night's game, the Devils deserved to win a meter, for those that didn't see the show last night, was 11% to the Kings' 89%. That's how badly we were outplayed and still came up with a win, largely in part to a heroic performance by none other than Jacob Markstrom in net. But 11 to 89% might be one of the most skewed ones I've ever seen. And the fact that we won the game with that percentage is insane. But, we got what we deserved tonight. Ducks were the better team, and as a result, they get the dub. Devils go home, finishing on the road trip a pretty gross 1-3. Going into the trip, I was hoping for 3-1, and I could have lived with 2-2. I think 2-2, especially after the start that we had, 2-2 would have been phenomenal after starting 0-2 and losing Pesce, obviously. But it wasn't in the cards. They had the chance to go 500 on the trip tonight, and here's the truth here: 39.3% we deserved. Brutal, absolutely brutal, guys. But on the bright side, our beloved New Jersey Devils are still 9-4, and I cannot believe that any logical person in this fan base, or not even in the fan base, just any logical people at all. Cheers to all you guys. With the intense schedule the Devils got for October, and even carrying into November now on this trip, I think any logical person would have gladly signed up for 9-4 through 13 games. And if you say otherwise, you're lying. And I understand people are like, oh, we were 8-1. Now we're 9-4. That sucks. Well, again, zoom out just a little bit. Yes, we are 1-3 in the last 4. That is not ideal. Bigger picture. They are still 9-4, and we are still nowhere near 100%. You have to look at the entire story. If you thought the Devils were going to win 8 of every 9 games because that's how the season started, you're delusional. Absolutely delusional. 9-4 is a great record, all things considered, and the best is yet to come still. We're down 5 NHL regulars. It's just crazy to me how some people could be so negative. And we get to the comments. I'm done ranting for now. Ryan Demand, win or lose, we booze. You already know that. Robbie's bench toss. Dostal owns New Jersey Devils the last few years. It seems like there's a few guys in the league that kind of have that over the Devils for whatever reason, that they just have had great success. Oh, no. Look, they're still human, and they played a lot of games in a short amount of time. I think they said Ducks have played 3 games in the last 10 days or something. Yeah, the Ducks are pretty rested, and the Devils obviously exhausted on the very end of a grueling West Coast trip. John Fay, and I'm someone who loved what Mercer brought to the table and hope he still lights up the lamp. Yeah, we saw a little bit of everything from Mercer tonight. A little wrestling, a beautiful saucer pass. Dostal, Scott Wedgwood 2.0. BC says Mercer has been excellent this year. I would say that calling him excellent would be a slight understatement for the dog. So let me just double check here. Yeah, the dog has 8 goals and 5 assists for 13 points. Oh, this isn't updated. So I guess he has 8 goals and 6 assists for 14 points in 13 games. Over a point per game. Love to see it. What a hopefully the start of a breakout year for Dawson Mercer. Y'all are soft says Mercer has improved a lot and deserves credit. Palat has the same amount of points as Markstrom. Everyone's been talking about this since yesterday. Brian J, condolences, man. My heart goes out to you. Sitting at games like this live are super frustrating and kind of annoying. Brian was there tonight. Just got home from being at the game. Really disappointed with the team and their performance. The team has not been good the last 4 games. I completely agree. completely agree, but we're down bodies right now. Robbie's bench toss Mercer has been crushing it. Hope last year was just a slump. John, we would have been shut out if it wasn't for Mercer getting some momentum with the scruffle and the beauty of a pass to Jack. Completely agree with that, too. You'd love to see it. Mercer, firing the team up with a little bit of a takedown, and then he gets that beautiful saucer pass to Jack. What a play. And then the team came to life, but it was too little too late. Ryan demands says, win or lose, I'll never hate on this team. I am right there with you, Ryan. There's a lot of people that are obviously just in free fall meltdown mode right now. BC, that's the problem. The team disappears for 50 minutes nearly every game now. I don't know about that. 50 minutes every game for a team that's 9-4. MSG is showing high stakes poker at the moment. I'm already enjoying it more than I did watching this team tonight. I have a buddy that's addicted to it. He literally has poker on his TV 24/7 and then talks about going to play poker and tries to get me to go with him to the casino all the time. Poke Niner, greetings from a Ducks fan. Well played to the Devils. Devils just looked very lackluster and lacked a bit of finish, it seemed, from the day's rest. Another day of resting, and I think you get those. Yeah, I mean, listen, it is what it is. This team has had a brutal run with injuries, a packed, heavy condensed West Coast trip, and we, for whatever reason, over the past few years have sucked on the West Coast, and it extended into this year. Despite our hot start, we went out west and got ice cold, lost Brett Pesce, and we've been kind of in a little bit of a free fall. Our boys need to get home and just sleep in their own beds and figure it out. Brian says, don't get me started on Luke. That dude gets way too many penalties, score a goal. Holmes, this game stunk. Sometimes the boys just get smoked by the lame-o Orange Ducks. Justin, 3 days off. They better have a better effort on Thursday. Yeah, hosting the Canadians at the Rock. I'm expecting a much better New Jersey Devils effort. And hopefully we have some of our injured guys back. I think the only possibilities right now are probably Brown and maybe Glass, but I think Brown will be the first one back. Robbie's bench toss 1-1 on back-to-backs, or I guess you're referring to the second game of the back-to-backs. Honestly, if we go 8-6, I'll be thrilled. Yeah, Doomer's pitching tense right now. Poke Niner will say you guys got the best version of Dostal all season. It doesn't make me feel any better, but great. Of course, we get the best version of everybody. Anytime someone's going up against the Devils, it's going to be the best version of them. It just seems that's how it works out for the Devils overall. Brian, we've got one power play in 2 games. The reason we're not working hard enough. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to rail on the officiating, but it seems like we've been getting kind of a bad deal from refs all season long. I think Keefe should get his head examined for thinking that Cholowski-Nemitz pairing was anywhere near a good idea. I mean, what the reality is with these injuries, no matter what, there's going to be one pairing that's going to be a little bit scary. I mean, what pairings did you want to see? I'm curious. What are your pairings? Put them in the chat. Robbie's bench toss says we got what we deserve. Shocker. I know, right? How many breakaways did they give up? I don't know. It was a lot. Yo Home says Chico is calling the Ducks goalie lucky all night. That's pretty funny. They seemingly can't defend anymore since the injuries. Yeah, the play has fallen off big time, but it just shows what a massive piece of the defense and the overall team that Brett Pesce was. And again, even if we had Kovacevic, I think the team looks way better. But having both of them out, again, you got Cholowski in there, and then you got Luke playing on his offside. These are not ideal situations. They're really not. Robbie's bench toss 9-4-0 is great. The injuries have sucked. One West Coast swing done. Everyone has injuries. Does everyone have five starters out though, Brian, or 5 roster regulars? I don't think they do. I'm sure there may be a couple teams, but a lot do not. 5 guys is a lot. Alex says, will our goaltenders ever be in sync, or will one always be Cheeks? I think we saw stretches where both guys were good last year, but the whole team has been, it's not just like the goalies. Now, could you try to make the case that if we had a dominant goalie performance tonight, we may have stolen the game? I mean, maybe, but I think that's a really big stretch. Like, the team did not deserve to win this game, and there's no way that you could say we lost the game because of Jake Allen. Maybe he wasn't, I'll put it this way. He was not the problem, and he also wasn't the solution, if that makes any sense. This was just a poor performance, I think, throughout. it is what it is. These games are going to happen, and it sucks. And to finish the trip 1-3 is very disappointing. I'm very disappointed. I'm sure the players are disappointed. I know Sheldon Keefe is disappointed. And I know many of you are beyond disappointed, but still 9-4. I mean, you got to, again, zoom out a little bit. Look at the bigger picture. Running going to be saying we should have gladly signed up for a 12-17 record if we ever get there? Absolutely not. No, I would. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would never say that. Poke Niner Ducks are pretty rested, but also got really prepped for this game against the Red Wings and Panthers. Brian, I'm happy we're 9-4. Not happy we are 1-3 in the last 4. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Pokemon Dostal just played his best game of the season. Great. Of course he did. Of course he did. Yarsoft is at least true, but didn't kill anyone tonight. Poker is boring. I love poker. I like playing it more than watching it, but I could watch it for a little bit. Larry says, didn't watch this game, but on replay, it looked like Allen let in a couple soft goals. Who's going to be calling for his head and shouting to bring up Dawes? Oh, there'll be people that'll do that. Again, the people that live very much in the moment and have no kind of true perspective, just kind of living in the moment and overreacting. The fan base is already in a complete meltdown on X. I mean, I don't even want to look at it right now. I was already arguing with several people. There's a couple people that always just want to say, all these injuries, blame it on trainers, and like there's just crazy stuff that is out there. But I just have to remember, society as a whole is in trouble. People are nuts. And then when you start talking about the internet, people are even crazier. And then when you dig down even deeper to now sports talk on the internet, this is a special place. The wild, wild west, the craziest of the crazies. And I just have to remember I'm fighting with people on burners and what is the point? I cannot let these energy vampires just suck the life out of me. I just have to ignore it. But sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes it is really, really hard. In all seriousness, they really need to figure out these slow starts. It's unacceptable. Rested or not, they don't seem to be learning. Even if they're incapable of it due to injuries, at least try. Okay. Hammy says, any fellow HF boards folks on here? Is HF boards still a thing? I used to kind of lurk on there back in the day, and I would post on some other message boards. I've talked about the kind of earlier days of internet hockey talk and different things on the program before. I feel like, some of these other social media platforms and Facebook groups and all these things have kind of pushed the quote-unquote message boards to the wayside, kind of, near extinction, but I'm sure they still get some traffic. I haven't looked on there in years. Justin says, in fairness, the Ducks were the better team tonight. Absolutely. Literally put Nemitz with anyone else other than Luke. Nemitz needs someone who knows what they're doing or he sucks. I mean, 21 years old. I hate to keep saying it, but and I'm going to keep repeating this thing. With young defensemen, I always want veterans as well. Never want a bunch of kids on the blue line at once. And this is why I was so adamant in this going back to the summer that, in my opinion, trading Dougie Hamilton would have been insane because young kids on defense do young kid things. And once in a while, it's going to be ugly. Some nights they'll shine. Some nights they'll kind of be middle of the road. And then there's going to be some nights where you're like, how is this guy in the league? And that's what you get with young kids that are developing. This is on-the-job training. These guys do not have a ton of experience, and it's going to show on some nights. Anyone who's expecting anything different is living in an alternate reality. Alternate reality. I'm scanning so much talk about nonsense in the comments right now, or the chat, rather. Ryan the Man, what's up? We see the Ducks again December 13th at home at the Rock. Hopefully we get revenge and a win. Shit, you ain't kidding. Hammy, back-to-back days on a West Coast trip is kind of hard, but yes, I know they're professionals. Yeah, but it's not an ideal situation. Short rest, down a bunch of guys. It sucks, but they got to figure it out. Daniel Walker says, Dilly or someone else needs to pound someone and get the team fired up a little. I wanted to see Dilly crush somebody bad. I wanted some fisticuffs. Don't care if whoever plays with Nemitz has to play on their offside. BC, Jack, and Mercer are the only players scoring right now. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with Connor Brown and Glass to some extent. That's 2/3 of a third line that was buzzing in the first, whatever it was, 6-7 games of the season. Glass between Grits and Connor Brown was looking like a stellar line. And then everything got messed up when Glass got hurt. We've kind of shuffled lines around a little bit, and with the Pesce injury, we're kind of in a tight spot right now. I do think they will bounce out of it. I do think this team is going to be very good, and I still believe in the group overall for sure. Nothing has changed. It's just the reality of people need to kind of adjust their expectations for the time being with all these guys injured. No team is going to look exactly the same down 5 regulars. It just does not happen, period. You're not going to be without 2 of your top 6 D-men and 3 forwards and be like, oh, no, we're still good. We're not going to skip a beat. That's not reality. No team is just completely insulated from that. It does not exist. It absolutely does not exist. Justin Smith says it's always the former Rangers that hurt the Devils every time. Of course, HF is still around. Alex, it's so frustrating that lukehughes shots just aren't getting through traffic. So many blocked shot attempts. Hammy, growing pains on those young D-men. They got to take their lumps or they won't grow into whatever their potential is. I agree with that. Brian, I get we have injuries, but we were playing great all year with these injuries. I didn't expect this team to unravel after Pesce went down. I didn't either. I thought we would see some pain points, but I didn't expect it to be this drastic. But here we are, and it sucks. But it just goes to show how important Brett Pesce really is to this club. And it's unfortunate that him going down kind of led to this domino effect of just pain and misery. But it is Pesce in combination with Kovacevic. I cannot state that enough times, because if Kovacevic was still in the lineup and Pesce went down, while Pesce would still be a massive loss, it's not nearly as bad with Kovacevic in the lineup, in my opinion. Get some good rest now for everyone. Canadians are going to be a crazy game. 4 days rest should be good for you all. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. Farewell for the night. Take care. Yo Holmes says losing 3 games is not an unravel, bro. Yeah, man. So we just live in the extremist society, man. Eric, we could have gotten another 5.5 AAV like Pesce, but I'll say Hamilton has played well so far this season. Dougie's a huge part of this team. Brandon, what's up? Not only are we filled with young D-man, Dougie and Siegenthaler led a lot of breakaways tonight. Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen too. They're, even the steady guys aren't going to be amazing every night. They're going to have off nights. You're not wrong. Younger defenseman bloom late. Yes. However, the eye test tells me he stinks and will be a career 3rd pair D-man. Agree with your Dougie opinion, though. Would have been crazy to trade. I think he definitely is going to be better than a 3rd pair D-man. I mean, I get why. I'm not going to say it's crazy for you to think that, but I think it's very early for you to think that. Justin, they'll be very good. Can't have injuries to key players. Eric, Luke has been playing back-to-back like he's – BC, what month is Dodonov expected back? January. I don't know that we even have an update on him. Yeah, I don't know. The injury information is very much a secret a lot of the times. Just goes to show that they're always one player away from the entire cookie crumbling. Fitz has some work to do. But it's not one player. That's the thing, and that's why I keep saying this. Kovacevic was already hurt, so it's not like, oh, Pesce went down and the defense fell apart. It's like, no. We were already without Kovacevic, and then Pesce got hurt, and now we are where we are. The entire cookie didn't crumble from one player. We're now down 5 players. Daniel, what is Pesce's injury? Broken hand? Not even sure. They never specified. Hold on, I gotta put my fan on and switch my hat. This one's too warm. I was a little cold before. But this was an overcorrection. I was cold, but now I'm coming back. All right. Got the old Marty Heaton. I believe they just said upper body, and that's kind of all we know. The details were never kind of released. Yo, Holmes, during these 3 losses, I'd say the goalies played like crap, and 2 of them. Can't blame Pesce for that. I'm assuming you're talking about. Are you talking about tonight in Colorado? Is that your 2? I mean, either way, I don't think that goaltending cost the Devils the game, if that makes any sense. And so while there may have been 2 games where goalies played like crap, the team in front of them also did. And so I'm not going to be like, this game was lost by the goalie. I would say they truly lost as a team. The forwards, the defense, and the goalie all collectively stunk and lost the game. And that's going to happen on some nights. Some nights, like last night, the team kind of stunk and Markey was out of this world and he stole a win. The team was not good in LA. Deserved to win a meter was 11%. They doubled us up on shots and dominated for large portions of the game. Yet we were able to come out with the win because Markey stood on his face. And you're going to need to win some games like that. And hopefully that's going to be the Markstrom we see on a nightly basis, or at least on most nights, that level of play. Because if the Devils are on and Markey's playing like that, obviously we're going to be extremely tough to beat. But then in games where the Devils forwards and defense might not be having the best night, Markey could steal a win. I mean, that's another signature Markey Devils performance, I would say. That one in Seattle last season will always stick out in my head because of the amount of saves and just the highlight reel variety of some of them were. But that game last night in LA was another Markey, Devils classic performance. Brandon, there's way too much room in our zone. We're just getting outplayed. Alex Gritsuk has zero business playing on the third line. He's making insane plays and passes to AHL guys who would have had an assist on each high danger chance Devils had. I understand everyone's kind of, or at least a lot of people's desire to put Grits in the top 6, but I think the situation has always been, and I've talked about this a bunch of times, is that if you do that, especially with Connor Brown out now, does that make the Devils the 2-line team we were last year where everyone's going to be going, where's the bottom 6 scoring? Like, I think the last thing Keefe wants to do is turn his offense into a 2-line unit, which we saw for most of last season. I think Grits on that third line really drives that entire bottom 6, but I understand the notion. I certainly wouldn't argue that Grits is worthy of a top 6 spot. I do think he is a legit top 6 player. I have seen enough. As of probably a couple weeks ago, I think I was saying that openly, that like Grits is a top 6 talent. Now, just because he's a top 6 talent doesn't necessarily mean that he has to play in the top 6. Again, looking for balanced scoring to have a bottom 6 that could do something. It's a tough call, but we've seen a bunch of different lines tried out. I would like to see, I think I showed it last night. I would be interested in seeing Dawson Mercer with Jack and Bratter for at least like a couple periods. Jack and Bratter seem to have ridiculous chemistry. For those that aren't aware or haven't been to a Devils home game, at the end of every warm-up, like the last few minutes, Jack and Mercer pass pucks back and forth to each other and crank one-timers. And they'll skate around and control it a little bit. But in the end, Jack and Dawson do this at the end. It's like a ritual they have. They do it at the end of every warm-up. And ever since I first saw it, I think they've been doing this for at least a few seasons now. I remember even after the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, this is something they do regularly. Like, could this lead to some chemistry in game where they just kind of find each other and have that vibe? And I feel like it could be there in a game. I mean, we saw it. Was it the game last night? I guess it was the game last night. With these late nights, everything's kind of blurring together, where Jack had the nice pass and Dawson deflected it in. And then tonight we saw Dawson with the beautiful sauce to Jack coming up the ice on the rush. I think it would be worth trying out for at least a good portion of a game. But, hopefully the lines get figured out sooner than later. Guys come back and we could get some lines that we could kind of utilize long-term where these guys could really get some chemistry going and have line mates they'll be with for a good stretch of time. Because we've seen a lot of changes already, but it's been a necessity because of the injuries. Y'all are soft, says I agree. Keefe needs to move him up. He's been good during this horrendous 4 games. Yoholmes Casey also has been injured and literally just coming back. Yeah, rough. Fresh off of injury for him as well. Larry, Luke has 160 games. Nemitz just his 100th. You're putting too much faith in Kovacevic, who only has 226 games under his belt, and actually Nemitz has one more playoff game experience. I think most people here would say that Kovacevic, when you see him on the ice, he just seems like he has more seasoning. It's just a more and it's also part because of the style he plays, where he's not trying to do too much, that it just seems like a more calm and responsible type of play, where he's not going to do anything crazy and get put on the other team's highlight reel for, maybe a bad pinch or something. NJ Swamp Fox, Gritsuk needs to play higher in the lineup. His assists are being wasted. Anson, I agree. Grits has high hockey IQ and deserves good line mates. Everyone wants Grits in the top 6. Huh, Justin, team was bad in all 4 games this road trip. Completely agree. We played like crap in LA and got the win. That's the beauty of having Markey on his A game. Stolen victory and a stolen 2 points. Steven, it feels like we always have a terrible Cali road trip. It certainly does. Paulie Walnuts, thing we have to keep in mind is that a marathon, not a sprint. The team is going to have their ups and downs. Unfortunately, right now they're on the downside. Yeah. What common sense, Paulie? I'd love to see it from people. We're 13 games into the season. We're not even a sixth of the way into the season. And this team is 9-4. You would think we're 4-9, by the way. Some of these people are talking 9-4. Ryan the Man and Markey and Allen, we trust. Justin's and Lou, we trust. I'll concede Kovacevic injury hurts, yes, but I'll say that even if Kovacevic was here and Pesci was still out, he doesn't change these results too much. No one on this team comes close to doing what he does best. No, I agree. I'm just saying it'd be slightly less painful. Pesci is a massive loss no matter what. But when Kovacevic is also out, it compounds it all. It does. Chalowski in, Luke on his offside. None of this is happening if Kovacevic is still here. Hokage, the boys better rest up. The next 2 teams are rolling so far. TJK, team is already a 2-line unit in my eyes. Let's roll like a varsity team where most high schools' 3rd and 4th line are benched the full game. The varsity team I cover, we run only 2 lines. That didn't work out too well for the Devils last year for a lot of games, though, when that happened. Brandon, I love Keith. I think he's the perfect coach for us, but I'd rather see us play an entire different game with all the injuries like the trap or something, defense first until you get some luck. That's not going to happen. He's not going to change the systems because there's a couple injuries. And the truth is, you'd like to believe that your team would not fall apart with some injuries, but it is 5 injuries. It's not 1, it's not 2, it's 5. 2 of your top 6 defensemen and depth forwards that have proven to be pretty valuable on the young season, and then they get hurt. All we've seen so far is the Devils are a Jack or Pesci injury away from giving me PTSD. Again, it's not just it's Pesci and Kovacevic and all the forwards. It's all a culmination. Daniel, I remind everyone to hit the thumbs up for Ace tonight. I appreciate that. Daniel. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. If you're not subscribed, obviously subscribe. I don't know what you're waiting for. And hit the notifications. Sometimes, videos and lives just kind of happen out of nowhere. You never know. So put those notifications on so you don't miss out. Taylor, if we're going to have Gritzy in the bottom 6, I think it would be nice to have him back with Cotter. They were cooking together in the preseason. My boy Cotter, man. I talked about this. What a just absolute death blow to him when Dodonov got hurt, and then everything got shuffled, and it cost him his spot with Grits. Grits and Cotter were cooking, but to that point, Taylor, I do think Grits is so good, he's going to look good with whoever he plays with. I think that is the reality. But I would like to see some other experiments. I always wanted and hoped for a bigger role for Cotter. I do like him as a 4th-line player, but I do think he has a little more potential than that. But we'll see how it all shakes out. I mean, it seems like this team may never be 100% healthy, but they need to be much closer to 100% than they are now. And we'll see what ultimately becomes of Cotter. It's all experimentation with all these injuries. But I like him as a 4th liner. I just think he has a higher ceiling. Ryan, man, hit the thumbs up for your boy Ace. Appreciate you. Yo, Holmes, not going to lie, really like Mercer's play at center so far. Yeah, I did too. And I think it was before I guess it was after we lost the first 2. After the Sharks game, I believe, I said in that post-game live that after those 2 games, I was all in favor of putting Mercer back at 3C. And I forget what else, if I had still Grits with him or whatever, but putting Mercer at 3C, bumping Lemico out, and adding Hallinan to the 4th line. But we may see that again. I don't know. Mercer's just been on a tear. What can we say about the dog? Over a point per game. Justin have to stay out of the penalty box. He has some terrible penalties. Good night. Anson, I didn't notice Palat at all. Y'all are soft not noticing Palat in the game. This is probably good. You guys are brutal. Running the thing you're trying to describe with Kovacevic is competency. Sometimes it feels like I'm watching the Spaz Olympics, watching Luke handle the puck sometimes. Don't get me started with Nemitz. Yeah, he's just more settled. He's just more settled down and just a little bit, just fundamental, stick to the basics, don't do anything crazy. And it's just a better feeling, at least for me when I'm watching. And I think a lot of you kind of agree with that. You're not going to see some of the, I don't know what you want to call it, gambling or mistakes. He's just a safer player defensively. Alex, the positive is that the Devils started the trip first place in the Metro, and they ended the trip still first place in the Metro. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? Hokage, do we know when Covey is due back? I truly feel that when the team is healthy, they are wagon. Injury bug hit early. Let's hope later in the season we got the full roster ready to go. He's still a ways away. I believe January, they said, would be like the earliest. And who knows? That could be February. And in a tragic world, it could be even March. But I think from everything they've said, you would like to believe that it will be January or February at the latest. But, we're probably not going to know till, I don't know, maybe a week or two before. They'll say he's week to week now. Ryan the man, this time change has me messed up. Hate when the clocks go back an hour. It gets dark way too early. I could not agree with you more. I do get seasonal depression. I've told a lot of you guys I am a summer kid. I love the summer. I love the barbecues. I love the beach. I love the concerts. I love all the outdoor festivities of the summer. The sun out till nighttime. Love all of it. Huge summer guy. And then when this happens, it's like, okay, Labor Day comes. That's kind of like the unofficial end of the summer. The kids go back to school. And then you're like, all right, well, the summer really ends September 21st or whatever it is. And you still get some nice weather in those summer days leading up to that. And then you get then after the summer's officially over, sometimes you get a couple weeks of summer-ish weather where you're like, all right, well, the summer technically ended, but these first couple weeks, we're going to get some bonus summer days in. And so then the first week of October comes and you're like, damn, it's kind of over. Then hockey season starts to kind of cushion the blow for me. I'm like, all right, at least I have hockey back. I have my Devils. And then the next blow is the clock thing. 5:15, dark today. I was driving to my mother's house and I was like, why 5:15, dark? Truly depressing. Truly, truly depressing. Taylor, just curious, the current injuries, what lines you would make? Oh, Taylor, there's a million different ones. I think I pulled up some of them the other day. I was just messing around. There's so many options. Let me see what I got here. Did I delete them? Let's see. I'm always trying to get my boy Paulie Cotter a full game audition with peanut butter and jelly. So this was one set of lines I thought could be good. Cotter with peanut butter and jelly. Then that Timo Nico Mercer line that has looked great for the most part. Third line, this is with Lemico still in the lineup with Grits, Lemico, Connor Brown when healthy. And then Palat, Glendening, Nason. Oh, what else do I have here? I would like to see Cotter get the audition, but I'd like to see everybody get the audition because I think it's just worth to see. Nason got the look. What else we got? I showed this one. Mercer with peanut butter and jelly. And then again, Grits bumped up to that second line, which we've seen this as a line before. Timo Nico Grits looked pretty good as well. Then a third line of Cotter, Lemico, Brown when he's healthy, Palat, Glendening, Nason. In this scenario, with Brown still out, I would probably bump Nason up to the third line. So it'd be the top two lines would be on this graphic. Then it'd be Cotter, Lemico, Nason. And then the fourth line would be Palat, Glendening, Hallinan. That was one combination I did. And I think I did a bunch. It was kind of exhausting. And then what's this one? I have one more. What do I have here? This is another one with Dawson on the top. Dawson. I don't know. This was a rough draft. I don't like this one. No, I like Cotter and Nason on the third. Cotter and Nason on the third. But there's a bunch of different ones you could do. I think it's all worth testing out. Bum bum bum. Covey's back due in January. Anson says Luke is trying to find his inner Quinn. I mean, oof. I always thought, and I always told people, it's a crazy comparison. Some people are like, oh, he's going to be better than Quinn. And I'm like, buddy, I just think some of these things are ridiculous. Quinn Quinn is a Norris Trophy guy. It's probably second best defenseman on most people's lists. Second only to McCarr, and to expect Luke to be better than him is just psychotic behavior, in my opinion. I'll take back my Mercer slander over the last few weeks. Him and Grits, the only sad sacks showing any heart right now. Love both of them. What a treat Grits has been. What a treat Grits has been. Everything as advertised and more. And all we heard about was his shot, but his playmaking ability, his vision, between his skating speed and his passing ability, and just hockey sense to know where to go or where guys are going to be. Grits has been an absolute treat. I love the kid. Alexander the Great, my biggest gripe with this team is the way they carry themselves from behind. Not a whole lot of belief or urgency. Not sure what's causing it. Attitude or culture, but the 22 Devils never quit. I mean, listen, granted, it did not end in a win. They did score 4 goals in 4 minutes and 4 seconds against the Avalanche. I mean, you have to put some stock into that. You cannot just completely dismiss that. They were down 5-0. Brandon, I don't look at the record. I look on how we're currently playing right now. The way they I got to decipher here. Right now, I guess that's the way the defense is. Who cares about the record? We're going to be losing games if we don't figure it out. Just got to get home and regroup. Get some rest and regroup. Indian Summer, not sure why they call it that. You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. I think I looked this up forever ago, and I can't remember. And so now I'm going to look it up. Why is it called Indian Summer? All right, let's see what we got. I'll share the findings. This is going to be like the educational portion of the show. This is the more you know. The more you know, random factoids. So everyone's going to learn something today, whether you planned on it or not. Today's lesson with Professor Ace is what is Indian Summer? Well, children, Indian Summer, the term Indian Summer is not definitively known, but theories suggest it may refer to the practice of Native Americans hunting and gathering during this unseasonably warm autumn period, the hazy atmosphere possibly caused by their prairie fires, or that early settlers used it as a way to mark the time when they could leave their stockades without fear of attacks. Other names for this weather phenomenon exist in other cultures, such as St. Martin Summer in Spanish and All Hallows Summer in British traditions. Native American activity. One theory is that the name refers to the practice of Native Americans continuing to hunt and gather their winter stores during this warm spell. Interesting. Prairie fires. Another explanation connects the name to the hazy, smoky air often seen during these periods, which early settlers may have believed was caused by Native Americans burning prairies. Settler-indigenous relations. A less common theory is that the term reflects the period when settlers believed it was safe to leave their fortified stockades because the Native Americans would not attack in cold weather, only to be surprised by a sudden return of warmth and potential hostility. Wow. And there you have it. The possible theories on Indian Summer, brought to you by Google AI. Seasonal depression ain't no joke. The Devils have been a big part of that for me in most of the last 13 years. Oh, it's brutal. Brutal. Taylor, I would love to see Cotter with Jack and Bratt. Paulie C is so underrated. He has great mitts. I agree, but there's obviously more to it. You know, the coaches have had hesitation to give him a long look. He's had some shifts here and there, but it's never long-term. But I would like to see it, you know, for at least 2 periods maybe in a game. I mean, give him a chance. Let's just see. Paulie C better find those mitts again quicker. He'll find himself watching the game from the press box and these players start getting healthy. I do think that could be an unfortunate reality for him. Hokage 1981 ace for coach. He has the cojones to put Palat on line 4. I mean, yeah. When even with one or two more guys back, I think you have to just try everything. And unfortunately, I'm certainly over Palat on the top line, but I do think he could contribute in the bottom 6. You just kind of figure out what the proper line combinations are to get the best 4 lines you can with evenly distributed scoring in it. And I do think it probably will have to be with Palat in the bottom 6. That's what I would do. But, you know, that means nothing, obviously. Brandon, I really, really want to see a meat line. Cotter, Glendening, Timo, maybe Lamico instead of Glendening, whoever is tougher. You can't put Timo on that, though. Timo's got to be in the top 6 for sure. That's a non-negotiable. Forgot about Legary. Thank you, Husky. I always forgot about Legary. I like him, too. I've grown tired of Lamico. He can kick rocks in Uganda for all I care. Okay. Holmes says Cotter so far has been a bit disappointing, 2 points and -5. Yeah, I mean, listen, I had higher hopes for him too, and I know he has higher hopes for himself. He likes to score goals. He likes to contribute. He's been kind of shuffled around too. It's unfortunate. Would like to see him get some more opportunity. Daniel, it was pretty funny watching Luke hit the banana peel on the ice tonight. Hammy, 3 games and 4 nights on the West Coast doesn't help. Schedules are cruel. Yeah, it's a brutal schedule. 3 games and 4 nights on the West Coast is not great. James, I take nothing from that loss. That Anaheim team is stacked. Jack Hughes MVP. Anaheim, another team with a lot of good young players. Wouldn't it be crazy if, like, in 4 years from now, or even 3 years, the Western Conference Finals was Sharks versus Ducks? A lot of firepower, a lot of youngsters. Captain THC says, hey, now that game sucked, but yeah, it did. Husky Unchained, that's just AI making up nonsense as usual. We're all doomed. Yeah. Yo, Holmes, we know what it is, but we were trying to figure out why it was called that. Taylor, honestly, I don't care where we put Palat as long as it's not with Jack and Brad. He just seems to be too slow to keep up with them. Again, I'm not going to keep saying the same things, but he does do things to help Jack and Brad. I just agree with everyone that the production has to be a lot more than what it is to justify you still getting that opportunity. Career NHLers don't belong on these silly line. AHLers? Who was the career AHLer? Eric, putting Palat in the bottom 6 and he disappears. Did he even play tonight? Captain THC, Palat needs to be in a shutdown 3rd, 4th line role. His scoring days are over, apparently. Would really have a problem if it were NHLers. Steven, Ace is a hunter-gatherer in the shore in July. Evan, Ducks are a good team, but we could have played better. I mean, understatement. We could have played a lot better, but, the deserve to win a meter told the tale. What was it, 39%? Let me see. I already forgot what it was. I was trying to block it out from my memory. I lost the graphic. Yeah, 39%. I mean, it's a pretty damning kind of thing there. Lamico is a career AHL journey boy. I would prefer not to have him on the roster. Obviously, listen, they signed him as a gamble. I was not impressed when they did it, and I'm still not impressed. It is what it is. He got his chance because of injuries. And here we are. SJ says the injuries are having an effect. They certainly are. Ryan says, yeah, they are. 5 key players are out with injuries. Brandon, going to be totally honest, though. It's going to suck to say, but we have too many floaters on the team. Plot sucks. Cotter is kind of disappointing. I know Timo is amazing, but he needs to score more. I mean, where do I even begin there? I just want to check something here. Yeah, Timo had a hot start. He's cooled off a little bit, but he still has 10 points in 13 games. I mean, on pace for a 60-some-odd point season. I mean, I would like to see a little more consistency too, but let's be real. Like, he's still had a pretty good start. Indian Summer is a good country song. Brooks and Dunn. Huh. I'm not a huge country guy, but I do like some country stuff. Lamico played the last 3 seasons in the Finnish D League. I thought it was the Switzerland League for. I thought it was the Swiss League, but it's the same thing either way. Not a big deal. Captain THC Mercer is like our new Madden, and I love it. Mad Dog was one of my all-time favorite Devils. Shout out to John Madden and my man Jay Pandolfo. 2 just clutch pieces for both the 2000 and 2003 Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils. These guys were a shutdown tandem for years, and they would consistently go up against the other team's best lines and on many nights make them a non-factor. Just erase them from the game. Hokage 1981, the hardest part of the NHL season is waiting for the next game. Wish we could simulate the next couple of weeks NHL GM video game style. Listen, guys, it's an 82-game season, and part of the fun is the long road, the highs and the lows of an 82 game. We're only 13 games in, guys. We're gonna be doing this for months to come. There's gonna be peaks and valleys, kids. There's gonna be 8-game heaters. There's gonna be 1 and 3 ugly West Coast road trips, and I'm here for all of it. Cheers to all of you. I'll be here no matter what because I love this team and I love most of you. I got to say most of you for that now too. Getting invaded by doomers, all the negativity. I'm just trying to stay positive and enjoy this hockey club that is 9-4, a place that no one would have predicted coming into the season. They do anything but put Timo on right wing. Timo needs to be on right wing. SJ says, Brett Pesce was carrying the D. It seems crazy. Is it, though? I mean, Brandon says, I literally think I would have any other NHL player over Palat. Come on. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Yeah, 82 games, soon to be 84. Palat is a veteran player, won a few cups with Tampa. Taylor, even with the bad road trip, we're still first in the Metro. Oh, Taylor, stop talking logical. Don't be making logical points to these people. They want to doom. They want to doom, and they want to doom right now. Nothing makes them happier than just talking smack on the team. And it's the same team as last year. Yeah, I'd be curious how much of the stuff some of these people believe. But again, this is the nature of the internet and sports. And where the internet and sports collide is a super, super frightening place. It truly is. And I might have to stay off of the social medias for a couple days because from what I've seen early on, it's just going to be brutal. Anything and everything you could think of in terms of ridiculous takes and statements, they're all happening in real time. And it's brutal. Alexander, we really appreciate you too, Ace. Seeing other teams' fans in here really speaks volumes. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I appreciate it. But it seems like lately other teams' fans are coming here to troll. That dude that was in here earlier that's a Ducks fan, he was very nice. That was fun to see. But yeah, we're getting trolled heavy. Trolled by Devils fans, trolled by the Ranger fan. I mean, Brandon, Tampa Bay fans literally have been saying for years Palat has been useless until the playoffs. The fact that these coaches keep Timo on the left wing, they must see something we don't. He won't be the Timo everyone is expecting until he goes to right wing. What's going on, Robert? He says ace. Hokage says I'm not dooming. I wasn't talking to you specifically, Hokage. That wasn't directed towards you. The chat during the game was super ugly. And shout out to everybody who's here now that was here during the game as well. There's probably at least a few of you that were here the whole time, and you witnessed some of the behavior that I'm talking about. I mean, it was absolutely brutal. And Fernie says Kreider has by one of the most punchable faces in the league. There's probably a more punchable one. Benjamin, well, if we aren't already doomed to this game, Hughes would have turned it over enough to be sunk anyway. Oh, boy. You guys call out first in the Metro until the cows come home. This team has a solid history of letting bad things snowball into unfathomable territory. Well, then how about you wait until the things have snowballed into unfathomable territory before everyone starts screaming the sky is falling? It's just painful. I just hope these people disappear for the playoffs. If you're not going to be here for the when we're in the trenches, going 1-3 on the West Coast road trip, then we don't want you here when we're celebrating our Eastern Conference Finals berth. The night that we eliminate whatever team we eliminate in the second round to go to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2012, you are not welcome at our celebration. Absolutely not. The online celebration or the in-person one, your access has been revoked. Revoked. Anton says social media is both a blessing and a curse. A lot of mind pollution. Yeah, you could say that again. Captain THC, I think Grits should get a long look with Jack and Brad. I think that might give all three a good spark. Plot and Nason aren't helping them much. Alexander the Greg, so many trolls. It's like the post-game comes to us live from under a bridge. Brandon says, I'm going to doom against Plot until he's gone. He was talking to me, Hokage. I wasn't talking to anyone in particular, I don't think. Taylor, I trust Keefe. He seems to have a good mentality for the team, and even with all the injuries, the team seems to respond well to him. I'm a big Keefe supporter. It seems like he is always looking for improvement. He is never pleased or kind of complacent. Even, at every point during the 8-game heater, he was still talking about things that needed to get cleaned up. that the group still had a lot more, to improve on, yada, yada. And I like that. He's a perfectionist. He's striving for greatness. He wants the most from his team. And I do think he is a good coach. The end is near. Sell the team. John, I feel like when all our players come back and we finally squash and kill the injury bug, we'll be unstoppable, but we must find a way to kill that injury bug in a way around the December curse. Yeah, but I mean, how do you, prevent the injuries? According to some esteemed scholar on X, it's all the trainer's fault. And then he went on and then he said it's Megan Duggan's fault. I mean, he just started it's just crazy. I just don't understand where some of these people come from. And in typical fashion, they all have like 20 X followers or 10 X followers. So I think they're all burners. But it's entirely her fault that the players are getting hurt. It's just crazy stuff. The trainers and medical staff, it's the trainer's fault that Brett Pesce is an absolute savage animal and blocks 5 shots a game and sometimes misses games as a result of it from injuries, from blocking frozen pucks. What planet do you live on that a trainer is preventing that? Robert, Sean Avery has a punchable face. He certainly does, but not in the league anymore. Sloppy, but we're going to be all right. I completely agree with you, Antonio. Because I can see where this is going, running, I'd like to voice my opinions before it happens again as I'm watching the makings of it live. Okay. David, imagine doing live streams about politics. No amount of Dirty Devil vodka can make up for the political equivalent of convert Casey to a winger. Yo! Just dropping in here to say, let's go Devils. Oh, that made my night, David. That makes all the dooming I dealt with for hours during the game. That's pretty hilarious. Yeah. The political equivalent of convert Casey to a winger. Man. SJ says, no, Connor Brown was rough. He does a lot. Yeah, massive loss. One of the better offseason signings for the Devils in a while. He really reinvigorated that bottom 6 with Gritsuk and Glass. And, of course, he gets a phantom injury. I don't think anybody knew about it at the time. We learn about it, the next day or whatever it was when he was not at practice. And it was like, oh, he's not at practice. We'll see if he's going to play the game. And then he misses the last 2 games. He misses the Kings game last night, and then he misses the game tonight. I hope that it's nothing serious, and we see him back on Thursday against the Canadians at the Rock. I mean, if he misses that one, then I'm going to say I'm officially very concerned because that would be almost a week out. John Fay, 9-4 isn't a bad record looking at the standings. We have the 4th best record behind the Jets, who are 9-3, and the Canadians, who are also 9-3. 3rd best record, okay. And say what you want, but the Doomers are still here even through the worst parts of the season. Those that aren't willing to concede on their faults, if they happen, should be barred. I'm not trying to bar anybody or ban anybody. But certain individuals, just too much nonsense with fighting people and just ruining people's experiences. And obviously I don't want that. And so sometimes I have to make the hard decision to kick some people. And I don't want to do it. Benjamin says, we collectively feel the pain because this has happened so many times before. Get the whole team thigh masters. Alexander the Greg, anybody know what the deal is with the mascot madness game on 1-3 versus Utah? I think typically during those games, they just have a ton of mascots from around the league and other sports all kind of converge on the Rock and kind of run around the concourse going wild. The little kids love it. There's just big, basically these ginormous stuffed animals running all over the place. Yeah. Hokage, didn't you know it? Didn't you know, Ace? The trainers are supposed to reinforce the players' bones. Apparently they're supposed to. Somebody is spiking the water, that's for sure. Not sure it's the trainer, but this has been ridiculous. Antonio says, matchup is tough for us for some reason. I believe in the team for sure. No excuses, though. Stay on course and keep your head up. But I will say I don't want to see a lack of change if repeatedly lose. No, I think obviously Keefe has shown the willingness to switch things around if he thinks something's not working. And so I'm not worried about that at all. I'm just more worried about this team staying healthy or relatively healthy. But 5 guys out is brutal. Brandon, the only bright thing about the season so far is a good win streak and hopefully getting the injuries out of the way at the beginning of the season. Antonio, I will start to be angry if we stay the same, if we start a bad streak. We need to generate a winning mentality here where excellence is the minimum. And yes, for God's sakes, we need physicality. Heavier, edgier, more violent. You guys know I want it. Eric, too many injuries in 8 games in 13 days. Dostal owns them, and it was a back-to-back. Knew this was a loss. Way to be positive, Eric. My God. John Fay, all right, Ace, I'm out for the night. I'll see you Thursday for where we hopefully celebrate 2 points and win over Montreal. You have a good one, John. Hopefully that all comes to fruition. Would love to see the Devils just destroy the Canadians on the Prudential Center ice. Robert, which game was at Monday? Monday. Devils won 10 straight. Some of these guys, you got to help me out here. I'm decent at deciphering messages, but some of these are brutal. Wish game was at Montreal. Devils won 10 straight there and lost last 5 at home. My God, that was a serious project there. My brain hurts. Captain THC, hey trolls, say what you want about the Devils. At least we are not Toronto. Taylor, it blows my mind how these random goalies suddenly turn into God when they play us. Dostal, listen, I'm going to say it again. Dostal is pretty good. A lot of people are like, this guy sucks. Like, listen, I think he's probably one of the better goalies that many people are not really familiar with. And I'm not super familiar with him, but I've seen him do this to the Devils before, and I've seen a couple random games where against other teams where he's looked really good, and he's had decent numbers on some less than stellar Ducks teams. I think this kid is pretty damn good. And so he's not a complete random. We have seen complete randoms do it to us, but Dostal is not one of them. He's a pretty solid goalie. Antonio, guys are skating around on the other teams like they have posts in front of them rather than people. We need physicality. We need physicality. Teams cannot feel safe with the puck like they do. I am never going to disagree with someone calling for more physicality. Physicality is paramount in this game. And again, it's not just fighting guys or crushing guys. I'd like to see that too. But winning battles, get into the corner, just being feisty, being hard to knock off pucks, just being a more physically imposing team in every way. I do think we have some levels to kind of ascend in that regard, because that has been one of my single biggest criticisms of this team for the past several seasons. And I do think a couple scritty guys, we talk about the scrit, skill and grit, scritty, a couple scritty guys could go a long way. All right, friends, good night. We go again versus surprising Penguins and Habs next. It's Montreal first. Yeah, Dostal is definitely not random. That's the dog that saved Antonio. Anyways, good night, Ace. We bring it back on Thursday. I'll be there. Enjoy the game. Hopefully you see a win. SJ Devils got to simplify, play D first until Brett is back. Forward, stay back. Brandon, Montreal's out for blood. I'm actually nervous for that game. I mean, they're a good team. It's going to be a good game. Brandon, think he need a full team to beat them. Dennis, no matter what, go Devs. I like where you're at. Your head's at, Dennis. Ryan Demand, go Devs. Captain THC, Dostal is no joke, a solid goalie, big and fast, nowhere near his ceiling yet either. Yeah. He was a guy before we got Markey that I think, probably more speculation than rumors, but I feel like I heard his name kind of tossed around for the Devils too, and that one really intrigued me. It was probably some BS article, but I remember people being like, oh, maybe Dostal's available, and I was like, I would love to get him. I love the Devils, but man, it feels like we're made of glass this season. Can we get through another one game without another injury? It's tough watching such a talented Devils team struggle to stay healthy. The potential is there if only we could keep everyone in one piece. Anson, would you rather lose all of your memories or lose your eyesight? Oh, my God. Some of these questions are brutal. Would you rather lose all of your memories or lose your eyesight? Oh, my God. It's a terrible question. I have no idea. They're both terrible. Wow. That's a really weird one. At this point, I'm convinced the Devils' real rival is the injury report. David Dostal literally carried the Ducks half of last season. He settled down at the end and finished with above-average starting goalie stats last season at a young age. He'll be a star in a year or two. Completely agree. Brandon, and what the hell happened to the Penguins? Are they taking steroids? The Sidney Crosby effect, baby. Sid is such a gangster. What a great player. 20 years in the league and still getting it done at a high level. Just the consummate winner. For anyone who hates on Sidney Crosby, you're just not a fan of hockey, because this man, all-time great, obviously, and depending on who you ask, I think at this point he's probably on many. I mean, what's the lowest you could have him on all time? He's definitely on pretty much any respectable top 10 list, and I think you would see him on a lot of top 5 lists. He's that good, and he's got 16. He's playing already. Oh, this man is 38 years old, and he has 9 goals and 7 assists for 16 points in 13 games. Absolutely disgusting. At 38 years old, Sidney Crosby is a freak of nature. Love the guy. How could you not? Generational talent. Hokage, doesn't matter the order we play the next two. Yeah, 2-0 Devils. Would love to see it. Sid the Kid. All right, guys. Got to use the facilities real quick. I'm going to start wrapping it up. Appreciate everyone for coming out. Thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions. I always like the suggestions. So there's going to be some big news coming soon. But give me some suggestions that are logical. Gonna use the bathroom real quick. And then start winding it down. Questions, comments, thoughts, whatever you got. Brandon, I see your comment. I'll answer that right now before I run to the bathroom. The call-ins are coming soon. I promise. I'm just trying to work on a couple things before I roll it out. The call-ins are coming soon. I'm a little frightened for it. And I wish that or hope that the team is playing much better, because on a night like tonight, if I had call-ins, it would be brutal. But more suggestions, tell me what you like, what you don't like, things you want to see. Just throw it all out there. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Going to use the bathroom. We'll start winding it down. And I'll be back. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. And we are back. We are back in action. But yeah, call-ins coming very soon, I promise. Call-ins will be cool. Yeah, the technology is going to be a lot better on it. I'm just wrinkling some, ironing some things out, as they say, getting out the wrinkles so that it's the best call-in experience. And I will request that people do not call from like crazy locations and with all kinds of madness going on in the background. Running keeps saying the call-ins are coming, but they ain't running. Oh, God. They're coming. They're coming. Robert says, when are you getting Dano on the show? How long we got to wait? Oh, it's going to happen. I have big plans for Dano. You just wait and see. I have big plans for a lot of things. Just all in due time, guys. All in due time. Sometimes I am probably, I guess, I wouldn't. This is more of a feedback I've gotten from others. Not as much as a self-reflection, but I guess when self-reflecting, there's some truth to it. I am not patient with certain stuff, and I kind of want, like, I'm a result seeker, and I kind of want things to happen quickly, and I can move quickly. But unfortunately, with a lot of stuff, you're at the mercy of other people or things where you're not in full control. And a lot of the stuff that I talk about with this channel falls under that umbrella. And so, unfortunately, without the buy-in or whatever you want to call it of other people or parties, you can't do everything. But all in due time. No, I did not do that. Hopefully the big news is Plot packing his bags. No, it's not that. Ace will be back after these messages. Ace is starting a Devils celeb boxing organization. Danica versus Logan Paul is highly possible. That'd be hilarious. I do want to start. Maybe we'll start, though. I mentioned this in the chat earlier. Maybe we start a Running with the Devils fight club. And then people that argue in the chat, we could set up bouts. It'd really be something. Ryan the Man, hit the thumbs up for your boy Ace. Hit the thumbs up. I don't know how many we got here. Probably not enough. But Captain THC, Bud Ice, did you say this? Is it you that says this every stream? The neon sign is an insanely beautiful neon sign. It is not a ringing endorsement of actual Bud Ice. With that being said, in my youth, I may or may not have enjoyed several 40 ounces of Bud Ice. But that's certainly not why I have the neon. I didn't pick it to be Bud Ice. That's just what it was. That is a beautiful vintage neon from 1995. And it's just absolutely beautiful. I love looking at it. My recommendation is that you start each post game with who you thought was the best Devils player on that given night and the worst, even in wins. I don't know about that. I mean, on some nights, like you're going to be like, oh, this was the worst guy, even if I didn't think there was I don't know. I just don't like honing in on negativity. Unhinged Devs fan, me and some Devs fan friends had an epic Marty's better chant in the concourse. I saw your comment on that earlier in the day. And I said 99% of the people that heard you on the concourse probably had no idea what that was in reference to, which makes it even that more glorious. You were doing a chant that was basically a 22 and a half year old reference. It's insane that it was that long ago. Where do we beg for Keith on here? Oh man, are you talking about me talking to Sheldon? Get Keith on here and let me ask some questions in the chat that you can ask him. Your questions would probably be so absurd. Can you try to interview Grits maybe? That'd be cool. His English is not great. He does understand, I think, more than he lets on, but still not super comfortable with English, so that might be tough. SJ says, I like the sign as the lightest Stanley Cup. Yeah, you can't tell that that's a Stanley Cup. I would move it, but it's kind of the way it's up there. It's a little delicate, and if I broke it, I would be suicidal. But it is, in fact, the Stanley Cup, and it was made in the summer of 1995 after the Devils won their first Stanley Cup. Beautiful piece. Captain THC, I enjoyed plenty of Bud Ice back then as well. That's how I know it sucks major ass. I didn't mind it in my younger days. Definitely didn't drink it regularly, but from time to time, I would. From time to time. I believe the percentage was a good amount higher than regular beer as well. So, you know. What is a recommendation you would like us to ask that we don't? Low key, what do you think could spice the channel? What is a recommendation you would like us to ask that we don't? That's why I ask you. I don't know. I don't even understand the question. What is a recommendation you would like us to ask that we don't? I don't have a recommendation that I'm looking for you to ask. That's why I asked the question. Lure Grits with some Dirty Devil vodka. I have some ideas, but I don't think you'd like most of them because they probably involve negativity in extreme amounts, I would imagine. Yo Holmes says, Bud Ice tasted like Budweiser with a roll of nickels in it. SJ, to me, all beer tastes similar. No, I mean, I'm definitely far from a beer connoisseur, but there's definitely beers that taste drastically different than others. That is for sure. I definitely don't like any of those, like, Guinness type beers. Definitely not for me. Anyone got anything else in here? Bud Ice had more alcohol in it, but compared to other beers I've enjoyed since, it's at the bottom of the list. Belgian wheat is the way to go. I do like, I can't drink a ton of them because they're kind of heavy, but I am a big fan of the Blue Moon. The Blue Moon with the orange, that's a beautiful summer drink. The Blue Moon draft pull in the nice tall beer glass with the orange. Beautiful drink. One of my favorites. Brandon, honest to God, two guys battling it over the phone would be very funny arguing about the Devils. Oh, boy. The thing that scares me is all of these things have the potential to get way out of hand in a hurry. Buy a mini confetti cannon, and after every Devils win and loss, shout, win or loss, at least we still had fun? No. Definitely not. Then blast the cannon. Spot on, Blue Moon and Orange. Robert, is Schaefer really 18 man-child? Yeah, it's crazy. Kid's a beast. My buddy's an Islander fan. Shout out to my boy Pat. I was texting him earlier. He was with his family at the game tonight, and he is just over the moon about Schaefer. And why wouldn't he be? I mean, if you're an Islander fan, that is exciting. The kid's 18 years old, and he's just looking like a phenom. I think let me see. I looked at his stats before. Completely insane. He's probably going to be a lock to win the Calder. It's a shame. I was hoping my 50-1 bet on Grits would pay off, but 12 games played, 5 goals, 5. No, what is the lag on this? The NHL.com sucks. How long does it take to update your stats? Maybe it is updated. 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points in 12 games. I thought that was his thing going into it, but beast. Front runner for the Calder for sure. Blue Moon is nice. I like Men Sharks too. You should take one doomer and one defender and have them both call in and duke it out. Oh, boy. You guys really like the confrontation, huh? Anson, you should be able to collab with all of the popular NHL YouTubers. Would be cool to see. Grow the channel a lot. I guess, Anson, do you have any channels specifically that you're talking about? I'd be curious. I'm always down for that sort of stuff, but I do think a lot, if you're going to name like channels with crazy followers, I think typically in this world, people don't like to, it's just a very bizarre thing. I have had people on the show before and I've tried to do collaborations, but they've all been as a result of me seeking it out. And so I'm curious if you have any particular people in mind, Anson. I'd be super curious. Let Darwin take over. Yo, Holmes, doomers aren't realistic, though. Trolls just trolling. Kind of. I mean, but there's like varying degrees of it, I will say, Yo, Holmes. Like, some of them have like somewhat valid points, I guess, or like points that are based in reality. And then there's the doomers that just like make blanket ridiculous statements that are just completely dooming. So I don't think all doomers are created equal. I will say that. But it's all equally painful. It'd be a ton of yelling. Running real question. What do you think if the new Locked On Devils guy did it start back up? I'm not familiar, so I have not seen any of that. I'm curious. What do you think of him? I don't have an opinion because I don't know anything about it. Trying to think of one dude. Mikey, Islanders fan. What's the channel, Anson? Would you have him on? His view counts are low, but I think he's pretty good. I don't think he's had much exposure since the switch. I like him. I'm not against having people on. I don't know. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I don't know. I have a strange outlook towards a lot of things after I've kind of seen some things. And so I don't know. There's a lot of weirdness, I think, in the world of this kind of stuff. Coleman won out of Calgary comeback. Yeah, I've always liked Pickles. Always liked Pickles. I think he would fit great on this team. Again, the question I ask about everyone is, if we were to trade him, is there a better fit for the team we could get with whatever assets it'll cost and the money? But quick answer, I do like Pickles and think he would fit well on this team. I just don't know if that's the best usage of resources given some of the other issues that this team has. Yeah, or like THG. Yeah, I mean, the hockey guy, I'm sure he probably wouldn't do it. Like, it's funny though. I've watched Shannon on and off for forever. Brandon, is there any plans to have any more Devils guests for early season discussion? What do you mean by Devils guests, Brandon? Ryan says, I think Trey Matthews was a better host for Locked On Devils. Yeah, I like Trey. I talked to Trey here and there, and he's doing his thing in Washington. Good for him, man. He got a job with the Caps, and he's doing his thing. He's got a solid channel. I'll think of it and ship it over. Okay, yeah, let me know. Blackatron late to the stream, but glad to see Plot still. You guys are brutal. TJK, a collab with Justin Brady, Devils Fanatics, and Daniel Amoya, Devils Report. Both met them and went to my college. Are very cool people. I've had Daniel Amoya on last season with some other people. I like Daniel. I don't really know Justin. I've messaged him a couple times about random things. But again, I'm not against anything. But yeah, we will see. We shall see. SJ Blake was good for the Devils. Miss Pickles. Mike Bartner. Mike Bartner. I think I actually may have come across his stuff. There used to be this NJD blog channel that I used to see videos for. Guy disappeared off the map. I don't know what that is either. NJD blog channel. TJ, they are friends with each other. They have their Devils podcast too. Give Calgary Palat. Palat has trade protection, and he's certainly not agreeing to go there. Bring on that psycho Frank the Tank after a loss so we can watch him go nuts and literally explode on the stream. The hockey guys went on some really obscure Sharks podcast channels. I'm sure he would. Okay. Those other Devils YouTube channels, Locked on Devils, Daniel, etc. Anson Bartner hates the Rangers too. Good dude. I imagine all Islanders fans still hate the Rangers. THG was just randomly pumping Bruce Driver's tires the other day too. Said he is going to make a career video soon. That's hilarious. That is super random. How did Bruce Driver come up? Yes, Robert Yager is still playing in Czechia. And Calgary has Palat protection too, I heard. That's hilarious. Frank the Tank, I haven't seen that. I've seen him at games. I've never talked to him. But I've kind of seen him in passing. Yeah, he gets pretty fired up, huh? Especially after some of the losses. Maybe check out the Haywood. Is that a real thing? Or is that just one of those stupid jokes? I actually saw a video of a guy. I saw the attempted joke immediately, but then I was like, did someone actually make that the name of a podcast? But I did see a video somewhere the other day where it was who knows if it was real or not, but it seemed pretty real. It was like a hidden camera kind of prank thing where a guy would go into, I think it was in a Walmart. He did it in maybe a Best Buy as well. He did it in a couple big box retail stores where he would go up to, I guess, the front desk or whatever and be like, I got separated from my sister and we have to leave now. There's some emergency. Could you page her? And they would give some ridiculous name, right? There was the typical, a Phil McCracken type thing, but a bunch of different ones, and filmed it where the person was actually saying it on the loudspeaker. It was pretty funny. Blackatron hockey guy is pretty legit. I don't follow him super close, but he seems like a super chill dude. Yeah, Shannon and his dry erase board, man, and his cats. Ryan, man, I can't believe Yager is still playing at 53 years old. That's crazy. Yager's playing on the team he owns. Yeah, what a legend. I do think people will probably like you reacting to games live. Some channels do that and change the score on the screen and you just kind of do a live commentary. Do people really want to watch that, though? Aren't you watching the game? People have brought this up. I'm not fully against it, but I'm just trying to think. I would have to move because I'd have to be watching the game. So I'd have to move a TV screen from a different area, which is fine. But do people really want to watch that? That's what I'm wondering. I guess I always think of, I'm an old man, so I guess I have different preferences, but I just think of for me, I always think of things like, would I want to watch this? And I could definitively say without a doubt, I would have no interest in watching someone react to a game live personally. So it's hard for me to conceptualize that while it's not something I'm interested in, that other people can be interested in it. So that's kind of a weird one for me. But if people really, I definitely would never do it every game just because that kind of puts a damper on my personal game viewing experience. But I would certainly experiment with it if people were interested. But I just feel like if you're watching the game, how are you watching that? I don't know. My legit recommendation is to do more of what you did a few games ago, which is what? What did I do a few games ago? I'm curious. I have no idea what you're talking about. My legit recommendation is, what did I do a few games ago? Oh, not everyone could watch the games. I guess I never thought of that too, but I feel like if you're resourceful, everyone can watch the games. You know what I mean? Yeah. That way I can see this team suck the life out of you live. You guys are brutal. Or fill you with the utmost joy. Reaction streams of the future. Really? Yeah, it's just hard for me to wrap my head around some of this stuff because I just look at it through my own personal opinion of it, and I'm like, who wants to watch that? People are crackheads for reaction videos. Robert, you all know Messier turned down trade to the Devils 99-2000 season. We settled for Mogilny because he didn't want to ruin his Rangers legacy. I never heard that before. I would have to fact check that. I don't know how we could. But I feel like I would have heard of that if that was a real thing. Where did you hear this, Robert? Where you kept the stream going but ran back and forth. Good car. Oh, okay. So I did like the pregame and then kind of left it on and just periodically jumped in. Yeah, that was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. That was I guess I could do that, but man. Yeah, then I have to I guess I'd have to wear headphones of some kind. I'd have to wear headphones of some kind to listen to the game while I'm watching it. This is like a lot of steps here. There's a lot of different things. But if people want it, I'll definitely do it once in a while. I just didn't think there was like any real interest in that. I'm also a crackhead for reaction videos. Anson, want to hear more about these Amazing Race Survivor games? Oh, I still need to iron out some details on that too. But I have a lot of interesting ideas kind of related to that. You could also save the highlights and upload them to YouTube. There's so many rules with all this crap. Like I'm just trying to stay out of trouble. No headphones required. Be hands off on the stream until you get back and let it ride. Aren't you talking about watching the game live, though? Headphones on, that's a bold move, Cotton. What is facts on Spit and Chicklets? Oh, they said that on Spit and Chicklets? Who said that? I need to investigate. Who told this story? I'm super interested in this. How have I never heard this? I mean, your highlights, your reactions to each goal scored or something. All right, I guess I'll have to do this for one game, just to see what the response is. I mean, people have talked about it going back to last year, and back then I was like, definitely not. Was it Messier, Robert? I mean, I don't know. You're being a little sarcastic, but someone else could have told the story. It didn't necessarily have to be Messier. Apparently, if you leave live streams viewable on a channel, it hurts it on the algorithm, which makes no sense to me. Where did you hear that? And I don't even know necessarily what that means. If you leave live streams viewable on a channel, it hurts it on the algorithm? Yeah, I don't even know what that means. Oh, Biz said it. Cody, it seems like January they're saying, but I don't think there's any guarantee of that. That was kind of an estimate from way back. Look up Saps Sports and see what he does. Running, you would get clicks, my friend. I don't really care about clicks, though. I just want to do stuff that people enjoy. That overall, I mean, the unfortunate part is like you have to care about clicks a little bit, but that's never a driving factor for me. My motivation is to do stuff that I enjoy, that other people enjoy, that could hopefully lead to me doing cooler stuff that you would enjoy. But unfortunately, it's like, it's like the chicken or the egg almost. Like you have to do all this stuff to get to a certain point so that you could do other stuff. But SAP Sports, okay, you guys are giving me an education here. I will look that up. Oh, this is just like a guy ranting, huh? Yeah, it looks like it. I'm just looking at the thumbnails right now, and it just looks like this guy's a wow. Yeah, I mean his channel's looks like it's just. Oh, I'm gonna be down the rabbit hole all night or all morning. Yeah, Biz is hilarious. Captain THC, take care. Brandon says, I personally think you're going to be surprised by the feedback watching the game live. In terms of like people liking it or whatever. All right, I'm going to do it. It's going to have to be a road game. It's going to have to be a road game. He reacts accordingly in a highlight video of his reaction to all goals in a given game. Okay. Robert, who is Devils radio announcer after Dev's goal said 2-0 New Jersey? The great Mike Miller. The great Mike Miller, the long time, I believe, Devils radio voice on 770 WABC. Mike Miller with some great calls over the years. I didn't listen too much on the radio because I lived in the market, obviously living in New Jersey, and almost always was home to watch on TV. But there were some times I do vividly remember being in the car, coming back from wherever and not being able to watch it on television and having my mother put it on in the car. I do remember those days. All right, folks, that's it. I'm done. Appreciate the feedback. I have some homework to do now. Got a little research based on what you fine folks had thrown out there in the chat. The Devils, disappointing West Coast road trip. Not going to lie. It ends in Anaheim. Devils fall 4-1, go 1-3 on the road trip. Have some soul searching to do, have some healing to do. Come back to the Rock Thursday. Start of a 3-game homestand opens up with the Montreal Canadiens. Hopefully the boys get it done and get back to their winning ways. Tonight was painful. Again, not to make excuses, but they got to weather the storm. It's been a brutal start to the season in terms of injuries, and they just got to get through it. Pesci was a huge loss. Hopefully Glass and Brown or Brown come back soon. And we start looking like the team that ripped off that 8-game heater. But hit the thumbs up on your way out, obviously. And that's it. If you're newer to the channel, appreciate you popping up. Check out some of the other things on the channel. Always working on some stuff in the shadows. There is a big announcement coming very soon. Very, very soon, the next day or two. And it's going to be big for the old-time people. I don't want to get younger fans, newer fans' hopes up. This one is for the old heads. The next announcement is straight up catering to the old heads. I promise you. But longtime fans, man, something delicious. Something delicious is simmering right now, and it will be ready soon. All right, but that's it, guys. I'm done. What a emotionally draining West Coast trip. Got to get home. Got to get back in the win column. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.